Hi everyone, welcome back to A Life Well Spent, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kelly, and on this channel, I'm documenting my financial journey. And this is going to be a debt payoff update. So I typically will do a monthly budget. I'll show you what my budget's going to be for the month. I will then do a budget wrap up and show you how I did using my real income, my real numbers. And I'll do kind of weekly progress checks. And as of right now, so I started this partly to get this channel, rather, I started it to kind of get control of my money and to be able to make my money behave and make myself behave, because I am a single person. I live alone, so I have nobody else in my life really to hold me accountable, except my parents, and I feel like I'm too old to have my parents boss me around, so that's not gonna work. But I've found I really like to talk about money. I wanted to find a community of people who want to talk about money, want to talk about their finances and improving their finances. So, and I've found that there's a lot of shame surrounding money. People think about, and I know I felt it as well, but when I think of all the things that I bought in my life that I should not have bought and all the money that I've wasted, there's a lot of shame tied up in there. There's a lot of guilt. I want to kick myself a lot. And so a lot of times when I'm with my friends and my, real life friends, they don't necessarily want to talk about it because it makes them feel like, like they should have been doing more, and they go through all that kind of stuff. And so it's not something that I really want to bring into my own personal relationships unless someone asks for it. And until they do, I still need a place. I need a community and I need an outlet. So I started this channel to hold me responsible. I started this channel to find other people in the same boat like me, and wanting to be responsible for their money. And I'm sorry if I'm moving around too much. I'm not really sure why I'm so animated, but I am today. Probably because I just drank my first iced tea of the year. It's super tasty, and I think it's getting me wired, which is crazy because hot tea doesn't even do that for me. Anyway, so this is, like I said earlier, this is going to be a debt payoff update. That is my current financial goal, is to be debt free, at least what's the word I'm looking for? Consumer debt free, meaning no credit cards, no car, no personal loan, no, student loans, none of that. So I'll only have my mortgage as a debt. Working on it. As of this long, this far, as of, I don't even know, when did I do it? January, February, I think. I had 3 loans when I started this channel. I had a student loan, a bank loan, and a Visa loan. Not really a Visa loan, it was a Visa card. Money on a card, Visa. These actually were originally all on a Discover card, but I think I talk about it a little bit in my debt confession, but before I started paying attention to my money, I did not realize I was paying so much in interest, the kind that I want to kick myself over. Yeah. Wasn't paying attention. Was paying 30% interest on my credit card. And it was the only credit card I used because, I got cash back. So I wanted to put everything on that. And I didn't normally carry a massive balance, but when I bought my house, I kind of panicked about the amount of cash I had lying around because I was really in no position to buy a house, but I didn't realize that. So that's part of the problem. Number 1, should never have bought my house. However, I did buy the house, didn't realize it till after the fact that I shouldn't have. And in my mind, I was like, I need ready cash because I can't just whip out my credit card if I need to pay someone to come to my house to do something. And I can't do that. So I need to have cash on hand. So I was putting things everything on a credit card and then just saving all my cash. Because that's a special kind of stupid to do that. It's one thing if you need to do that to pile up cash. It's still stupid. However, I did a double whammy and I didn't bother to curb my spending at all. So it wasn't even like just necessities, like, okay, I'm only gonna buy like my food with this. Oh no, I was just buying whatever I felt like buying, and I was like, I'm gonna put it on the credit card because I want to make sure I have some more cash on hand. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I did. So anyway, I kind of racked it up to about, I don't know, 12,000, 14,000, something like that. And I was paying and paying and paying on it, and I could not believe that I wasn't getting anywhere. So I finally looked at the bill more closely, and I realized most of the money was going to interest. More money was going to interest than was going to principal. I was like, this isn't right. Saw that I had a like 29.99% interest rate. I called them to see if I could get a better rate. Sorry if you hear gunshots. Someone's shooting somewhere. I live in a town where that's normal. Don't love it, but that's like the only rule in this town is there are no rules, I swear. So anyway, I called to see if I could get a better rate, thinking, well, that surely they would give me a better rate than have me take my business elsewhere. Oh no, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. And I was like, I pay on time. I like pay this every month at the same time. It's always on time. Like, why not? They don't do that. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to take my business elsewhere then. So I shopped around to find like one of those low balance transfers, and that was this guy. And I put everything on it that I could, which was $6,300. I think ultimately it was $6,000, and then the $300 was the transfer fee, which is fine. I mean, I was paying over $300 a month in interest, so really this just is traded me out. I actually gained still. And then I put the rest on a bank loan. So, and that was $5,000. So it looks like by the time I actually got serious about doing this, I was down to $11,300. I split it over these two things. I decided to get serious about paying things off come November, December, something like that. And I was throwing every bit of extra money at both of these. I believe I got my bank loan paid off in... the wrong one. I think I got my bank loan paid off in January, and I finished paying off the Visa card in February. Helped absolutely by the fact that January was a 3-pay month for me. I worked a second job to also help me pay things off. And for some other money goals I had to save up for certain things that I'm not really going to get into because that's the point of this video. But anyway, so it was a 3-pay month, but for me it was, you know, a 6-pay month because I got an extra pay with my regular job and an extra pay with my other job, my part-time gig. And we got the $600 stimulus, so I had a lot of extra money to throw at both of these things, so I did. Then at the end of February, I was able to take whatever money I had left, and the goal was then to move on to the student loans. However, with the election of Joe Biden and the push from the Democrats to do something about the student loan crisis, that has made me hit the pause button a little bit. So I'm actually going back into pile up cash mode instead of like actually paying off debt. And the reason for that is I want to wait to see how this plays out. Because at one point, you know, you had Senator Schumer and Warren saying that, you know, with the stroke of a pen, Biden can just write up 50,000. Well, that's great. When I started this journey, I had 16, well, I had a lot more, but when I decided to get serious about my money, I was down to $16,700 in student loans. And so the $50,000 pen stroke, man, this would be done in an instant. That's great. It's awesome. But then at one point Biden was like, oh, I don't think I can do that. There's no way. Like, that's going to have to be a bill that comes to my desk. I don't have the authority. Whereas like Schumer and Warren were saying, yes, you do have the authority. And so I thought, all right, well, I'm going to kind of wait and see kind of how this plays out. Because then even Biden said, like, I think I can do 10,000 on my own. I don't think I can do up to 50. Well, that still helps me out a lot. You want to take 10,000 and forgive that and leave me with 3,600-ish, whatever? I'll do that. I'll do, that's fine. I'll take whatever I can get. So my, my concern is it's 100% my luck to have like cranked out paying off this student loan, had it, and I would have it like done by July, let's say, because July is the next 3 pay months. So maybe I could probably dig deep and find a way to get it done. And come August, it'll be announced that like, hey, executive order, there goes everybody's student loans. That's exactly what would happen to me. I would have paid it, and then if I had just waited, would have not had to pay it. So I want to wait a little bit at least. I want to wait until at least until after the midterms, and then I'll kind of decide from there. If nothing really happens, then if nothing really happens and the Democrats lose either the House or the Senate, then it's going to be it's not even going to happen for another probably 4 years. It's not even going to be considered until then, because the only way to get it done right now, the Democrats are the only ones who really think that it should be done. So if the House changes hands, which it likely will, because that's just historically what happens, when one party's in control of all 3 branches, usually the other party gets one of the 2 branches of Congress, and I guess they're not all 3 branches, but the judiciary isn't really a part of this at all. But as far as your 3 main, the White House and the 2 houses of Congress, usually if they're all belonging to one party, one of them usually switches at the midterm. So, and oftentimes ends up being the opposing party to the president ends up like swapping the House out. So we'll see. So if that happens, then there's not going to be any movement on this, and then I'll just keep, I guess, plowing ahead, and hopefully we'll have piled up all the money for it, and I can just send them a check. That said, Biden just recently, I think last week, came out and said he has the lawyers and policymakers of the Department of Ed looking at whether or not he can forgive $50,000 worth of loans. So maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. I have one more hurdle on top of that. I should have a qualifying loan. I had one for loan forgiveness for my specific profession, like, the public loan forgiveness that you can do if you work in a certain field and in, lower income areas and things like that. I had everything qualifying there, except they set the cutoff date for the loans 2 months after I got my first loan. So basically it was something really arbitrary, like October of that year. If you had gotten your loan, if you took a loan out before October of that year, you did not qualify. And it's so stupid because in America, at least when I was in high school and going into college, nobody graduated in like December and then started college in January. We all follow an agrarian calendar because we're still stuck in the 1900s, and actually probably the late 1800s, really. And we graduate in like May or June, and then if you go directly into college, you may take summer classes, you might just have the summer off and then start in the fall. So if you're to pay a tuition bill in August or early September, you're taking out that loan in August. You're not getting it in October. So unbelievably stupid. But ultimately, like, had my parents said, let's see if we can pay this in the, I have to adjust my screen right now because it's kind of leaning back here on me. If they had said, let's see if we can swing it, we might be able to do it, because my parents actually made decent money. And, had they tried to do that and then decided after the first semester, like, ooh, money was a little too tight. We didn't really care for that. Let's go the loan route. And had me take out loans in January, boom, forgiveness. I'd have like no loans left because the forgiveness amount would have been enough to cover them. It's really irritating. So even if the plan goes forward to forgive a certain amount of money, no matter what that amount is, I still may get screwed by some kind of technicality that says, oh, well, if you took them out before the year, like, I don't know, 2005, too bad, nothing for you. So that's really, really irritating. Really, really irritating. I'm annoyed in a lot of ways. I didn't understand what I was signing up for. I listened to my parents who didn't really understand it either. I mean, they should have had a better grasp of loans and whatnot than I did at 17, barely 18 years old. But they, even when it came to paying them back, like I took my parents' advice because they're your parents. Don't they know better? Well, they didn't. I'm paying like 3 times as much by doing the 30-year route instead of just doing the 10. And, if I did the 10, I'd be done. I'd have been long done with them, actually. And yeah, I just wasn't, I didn't know enough. I didn't know enough. And that's part of the problem why we should do student loan forgiveness anyway. I mean, it was bad policy of the government. And by forgiving the loans, it's correcting the bad policy. And that's really the issue here. I think their hearts were in the right place. I think they had some of the right ideas, but I think that there were a lot of unintended consequences that they didn't really think through. Like finding a way somehow to cap tuition, because that's what caused, it was the free flow of loans that caused tuition rates to get jacked up because, hey, it's a government-backed loan. The school's going to get their money. They don't care how much it is. But it's causing a lot of problems for people and for our economy. It's terrible for our economy. I mean, there's $1 trillion in student loan debt, and if the students can't pay them anymore, it's like the 2008 housing collapse all over again. That's a real problem, and it doesn't have to be. The government can step in and say, oops, our bad, we're going to fix that. And they should. But we will see. We will see. Hopefully they will. The plan then for me is I'm going to keep paying like the monthly payment on it, but I am going to then pile up on the side some money for the time when, if I can only get $10,000 forgiven, then boom, I have the rest of it. Perfect. I'll cut him a check. If I can get nothing forgiven, then I have the money right there. Then I will cut them a check. If I get them all forgiven, even better. And I will take the money that I have piled up and I will do something else with it. Probably buy a car because my car is, I'd like to keep the miles low because I would like to drive her until the wheels fall off. So I'm just going to kind of review really quickly what I actually have. So in my budget, I have a tab for my money goals. So my first money goal of the year was to finish paying off my my personal loan and that Visa card. And you can see here, these are my list of total goals here. So I paid off my city card in February of 2021. I paid off my personal loan in January of 2021. I have since been able to, I created this table here that really just tracks how much money that I have piled up for my student loan payoff. So in February, I was able to put $2,357.81 in there. In March, I put $2,000 in. In April, right now, I have budgeted $611. But we will see in the end what happens. Whatever money I have left over at the end of the month goes to is going to go to that. So I should definitely at least here's hoping nothing major happens that I don't have to rework some things, but there should at least be the $611. And then if there is an extra $200 or $300 in my budget that I didn't spend, that I, didn't spend on like personal or my miscellaneous or whatever, that will go in there. So I may end up with like $500 or $600 in there. And then this is designed so that once I put the number in, it will adjust everything. So these will automatically adjust as I add more and more in. And then this tells me the percent of my actual goal, which at this point, like I set the goal itself at 1,300 because I figured, I probably by the end of the year will be closer to like 1,200. However, once I hit that 1,300, I'll probably stop and then put, goals towards something else. But that's where we're at for right now. So that is my debt payoff update. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. I'd love for you to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I think I will end up doing, maybe a quarterly student loan pile up update because it is actually part of my budget. I'll click over to my budget really quickly. That's what this SL fund is right here. Oh, 611.59 is what I've budgeted. And then when I do my budget wrap up, you'll be able to actually see, how much I was able to put in and what its actual total is at this point. And then I have a percentage that'll fill in down here once I actually put a number in here as I wrap up my budget for the end of the month. So today is Monday, April 12th. I'm actually going to also do maybe tomorrow or the next day, I'm not quite sure, do a net worth update that I was supposed to do more towards the beginning of April, but it did not get done. I was dealing with some COVID and the second vaccine, and it kind of knocked me out. I'm just kind of now feeling back to normal and energized. Like I actually cleaned my kitchen yesterday, most of the counters and the table, and cleaned up in a lot of other places. I finally feel like I have energy to do things. So I should be getting that out soon, sometime this week, hopefully, and then I'll do my weekly budget wrap up, which I do, I think I said this earlier, to kind of keep myself on track. But anyway, like I said, if you have questions, leave a question down below, leave a comment down below if you like videos like this, and I will see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching.